Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. As you may be aware, I recently acquired a copy of Advanced Space Crusade, a game that has lots of potential for expansion if you have the right miniatures. One of the new enemies you can add to the game are the Genestealer hybrids. I actually have loads of modern era Genestealer hybrids from Deathwatch Overkill and Kill Team, but when I'm restoring or expanding a vintage game, I like to keep things period accurate. So to that end, I set about collecting some Rogue Trader era hybrids. I was particularly keen to get some of the old plastic hybrids, as I absolutely love the sculpt and it's a little bit easier to get all the different weapon options that Advanced Space Crusade demands. For the record, there are 11 possible weapon loadouts. Since then it's become a little bit of an obsession and I've managed to accumulate 7 Genestealers, 17 hybrids, a Metal Magus, the running Patriarch, and something a bit special that I'm saving for another video because it's just too awesome. And I thought it was worth putting together a little video to talk about these hybrid miniatures, what options you need for Advanced Space Crusade, and how I've built mine. First of all, these plastic hybrids originally appeared in the Space Hulk Genestealer expansion. They came 2 on a frame along with a single plastic Terminator Librarian. And on that frame you just got the torso. There was only one sculpt, so all the body types are the same. To complete the miniatures, you also got frames of arms. I don't have a full frame to show you, but each frame had a selection of single and double limbs, so you could mix and match them to create hybrids with 2, 3 or 4 arms. So far, so simple, but then you get to the weapons. There were no weapons specifically created for the hybrids to the best of my knowledge. They basically came with Chaos Special Weapons, which was a frame containing an autocannon, a conversion beamer and a missile launcher, and a sprue of Orc weapons containing bolt pistols, bolters, a plasma gun and a chainsword. Furthermore, it was also possible to arm them using a different Orc weapon sprue which had command troop options like a power fist and power sword, or you could use the plastic Imperial Guard weapons like las pistols and las guns. Really, an assembled hybrid lives up to its name, often comprising components lifted from 3 or even 4 sprues, and armed with weapons from the farthest flung corners of the galaxy, or at the very least, the farthest flung corners of the bits box. Besides the Genestealer expansion, those hybrids also showed up in small numbers in the Tyrannid Attack board game and in the Terminators and Tyrannids box, which was a set of miniatures lifted from Space Hulk and Advanced Space Crusade, bundled up and sold as an Advanced Space Crusade expansion. Those boxes are not cheap anymore. In fact, in my experience accumulating these miniatures from eBay, my general impressions are that hybrids are not that hard to find, although they are often a little pricey. The problem is that they are either assembled very badly due to the way gamers had to cannibalize weapons from all over the place to arm them, or they don't have weapons at all. Quite frequently, they don't even have arms, and that is a problem because the arms and those various Rogue Trader era weapon sprues are very expensive and increasingly hard to find in good condition. And that's where I have to take a moment to extend my thanks to John Middleton. John is a long-time subscriber and the person I go to when my own knowledge of 40k or vintage games in general is found lacking. He has very kindly sent me a care package that has made it possible to complete my roster of hybrids. He sent me some spare hybrid arms, a part frame of Imperial Guard weapons which goes for crazy money on eBay, and even some recasts of old Rogue Trader era weapons that he made himself. And just to clarify my position on this, I absolutely don't condone recasting modern miniatures for sale. John is a skilled caster, it's part of his hobby, but he does it for personal use, he doesn't sell anything, and is only recasting old stuff that is long out of production and hard to find on the secondary market in large quantities. And it's all stuff he's bought in the first place anyway to make the molds. Oh, and I should also point out, he sent me a lot of other stuff that I will be showcasing in other videos, including a copy of Alien Fate of the Nostromo, which I've already posted a playthrough for on the channel. With that all out of the way, let's have a look at what I finally came up with for my 17 hybrids. Remember, there are 11 different weapon options, so I've ended up with one of each weapon type and then doubles of some of my favourite options, or the options that I feel would be more widely available to the hybrids. First up, the classic bolter. This is an Orc bolter, I armed 2 hybrids with these. Next up is the bolt pistol, again from the Orc sprue. I've got 2 hybrids armed like this. Then we have the plasma gun, also from the same sprue. I have 2 hybrids with these because I ended up buying 2 that already had those guns attached. I don't actually much care for the pose of this particular miniature, but that's how he came in the post, and while I could go through the process of de-arming him, in more ways than one, I'm just rolling with it. The last weapon option on the Orc sprue is a chainsword. I had 2 of these, one of which was sent by John, so I have 1 hybrid with the chainsword, and I have to say, I love this chainsword. It's so chunky and brutal. For the second chainsword, I trimmed off the teeth and adjusted the handle so I can use that as a power sword. You will notice the weird posing of the sword arm on this model. That's because the arm was originally a double limb, but the previous owner of the miniature had hacked off the second appendage. I kept it like that because it gives me another arm pose to work with. The next weapon option you can have for hybrids in Advanced Space Crusade is the plasma pistol. I had one plastic one which I used for one hybrid, but John also sent me some metal recasts too. I'm going to be using most of those on some Rogue Trader era Marines, but I decided to use one on a hybrid. That weapon is pinned, which means I've drilled a small hole in the hand and in the bottom of the weapon and put in a small piece of paperclip for extra reinforcement along with glue. Next up we have the las gun. I wasn't keen on how these look on the hybrids, so I only armed one this way, but I also had some las pistols and those I really liked the look of, so I used two of those on two more hybrids. That just leaves the three special / heavy weapons, which are a bit tough to get. I was fortunate to have two autocannons, so I used them both. The first I mounted on the shoulder, which is the standard way for the hybrids to use these weapons. To get this looking right, I had to cut the hand off at the wrist and repose it, but it doesn't look too bad. It looks a bit like the hybrid isn't quite sure he knows what he's doing, but I think that adds to the charm. Worth mentioning as well, these autocannons are supposed to have little square ammo packs hanging off the side. I don't have any of them. If I did have them, I would use them, but if I'm honest, I think the autocannons look better without them. As I mentioned, I had two of these guns, so for the second model I posed him completely differently. He's holding the gun across his chest, perhaps reloading, or maybe just giving his shoulder a rest. Again, it's worth repeating, these weapons weren't originally made for these models, so they don't always fit easily or obviously. You just have to cut them and reshape them until you get something that works for you. That's what I had to do with the next weapon option, which is the Chaos Missile Launcher. In order to get this to sit over the user's shoulder, I had to carefully reshape the rear handle. Even then, I also had to build out the shoulder joint area with green stuff to move the missile launcher further away from the body for a more natural pose. And finally there's the conversion beamer. Good grief, I'm having a hard time finding one of those, so I'm proxying. One of the weapon options John sent was a Rogue Trader grenade launcher, and as chance would have it, it sort of fit perfectly on one of the hybrids I had purchased that already had its arms attached. It looks so natural in the hybrid's hands and has such a weird old design to it. I thought, what the heck, it can be a conversion beamer. Maybe one day I will find a conversion beamer, but this will do for now. And speaking of things that will do for now, that's probably a good place to wrap up this video. I think I can probably call it a day on collecting hybrids now as well. I have more than enough for Advanced Space Crusade, and I would really only consider getting more if it meant I could get some actual conversion beamers. These guys will of course get a coat of paint, but that's for the future. I need to paint regular Space Crusade first, and I have been finding it difficult to find any time to paint recently. Oh, and also, I do have the rules for including hybrids in regular Space Crusade, and that is something that I plan on doing on the channel at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future. But that's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at these miniatures as much as I enjoyed amassing and building them, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you to John as well. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you've really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.